Hello everyone, my name is Devin. Today's date is March 21st, 2026, and this is my FTT102 Week 8 assignment, Firearm Disassembly and System Analysis. Before starting, I'm going to perform a quick safety check. The rifle I'm going to be using for this assignment is my Sons of Liberty Gunworks AR-15 Sage Edition, and to start here, we're going to show that it's unloaded, no magazine inserted. Pull back and lock the bolt carrier group, and we're going to visually and physically inspect and show that there's no rounds inside the chamber and make sure that there is no live ammunition in our workspace. Again, this is the Sons of Liberty Gunworks AR-15, specifically their Sage Edition. This is a semi-automatic rifle that uses a direct impingement gas system. Alright, now I've already taken the liberty to fully disassemble this AR-15 and kind of organizedly lay out the parts here. So starting up here, we got the upper receiver, which houses the gas system, the barrel, and the bolt carrier group. Now this here is the lower receiver, which contains the trigger group and the fire control components. Now, up in this corner, we have the disassembled bolt carrier group, or commonly known as the BCG, which handles the feeding, firing, extraction, and the ejection of the firearm. This here is the charging handle, which is used to manually cycle the action. Now this here is the barrel where the projectile travels and the accuracy is determined. Now laid out up here we have the buffer and the buffer spring, which absorb the recoil and return the bolt forward. Now this rifle system uses several simple machines to function. The trigger system inside acts as a lever. So when I pull the trigger, it transfers force to release the hammer, allowing the hammer to fall forward, as you can see there. Now the buffer spring in this system sits inside the buffer tube here and decompresses and stores up that energy during the cycling process, and then releases that energy under the weight of the buffer itself, pushing that bolt carrier group back and closing the action. Alright, moving on to system functions. When a round is fired from this rifle, the gas is actually diverted from the barrel through this gas block right here. You can't see it very well, but it's actually sitting right underneath these rail scales here, and travels through this gas tube back to the bolt carrier group in order for this weapon platform to operate correctly. Now, when the gas gets back to this bolt carrier group here, I'll show you on the outside here, you'll notice this bolt carrier group has this little top tube kind of sticking out. The purpose of this on this bolt carrier group is when that gas travels down this gas tube out of this barrel from the gas block and travels down, it's going to interface. That gas tube is going to sit right behind here, and it's going to interface with this portion of your bolt carrier group, which is going to allow the bolt carrier group to do its rearward movement through the unlocking of the bolt. This is going to directly affect your extracting and ejecting of the spent casings, and at the same time that the buffer spring compresses. Then the spring expands and pushes the bolt forward to chamber the next round. Now, seeing the rifle completely disassembled like this makes it easier to understand how gas pressure, motion, and mechanical parts all work together as a system. Now, if I was working on an unfamiliar firearm, I would take extra precautions. Some risks could include damaging components, incorrect reassembly, or even missing safety issues. Before working on the firearm, I would consult manufacturer manuals, their schematics, and professional gunsmith resources. Now here, you can see I've removed the suppressor from the end of the barrel, and we're going to start on the barrel cleaning. Now I'm going to be using a cleaning kit that SDI sent over from Otis here, which has got a lot of good things in it. Inside, you're going to find this little cleaning kit, this little portable cleaning kit that you can detach and take with you to, let's say, like the range, or if you want to throw it in a go bag. But one thing I'm going to be using from it is going to be this boar snake and then just some patches. Now you're going to want to repeat this a few times to get your barrel properly cleaned and possibly go through a couple patches. Now you can also use things like a barrel brush and run a barrel brush through it. The main thing here is the carbon fouling buildup that is inside of these barrels can affect the accuracy and the pressures within your firearm. So the main thing is just to make sure that you continue to use your barrel brush or run those patches, and you want to keep running those patches until you pull one through and it remains completely clean. Now I'm going to move on to cleaning the bolt carrier group. Some main things you're going to want to really focus on here is the face and the tail of the actual bolt itself here. Now this bolt carrier group is going to be where you're going to see most of your hard carbon buildup. This is because this is where the gas from the gas impingement system on this rifle comes into play. So you're really going to want to get in here and clean all this up using a hard nylon bristle brush like this one and some CLP. And then you're also going to want to just keep some shop tails handy for this. So you just want to get a nice layer of CLP on there or whatever cleaning solution you're going to want to use. And then we're going to take this brush and we're gonna just run this nylon bristle brush over all these gas ports, up here where your gas tube interfaces, down in here where your camming pin is. You're going to want to get down in here where your locking pin sets. Down inside this area is going to be where your firing pin sits. You're going to get down in there. And then just all of these little creases and crevices, get it nice and wiped out. And once you are satisfied with how much scrubbing you've done, think you've built up enough carbon, you can wipe away all this excess CLP and carbon buildup. And with that, you'll be left with your clean, carbon-free bolt. Set that to the side. Do the same thing with your bolt carrier itself. And just like that, our bolt and bolt carrier are both clean and carbon-free. And we can move on to our camming pin, our little locking pin here, and then another home run hitter here is going to be your actual firing pin. You're going to get a lot of carbon buildup and hard carbon buildup. Right around this ring is where I usually find the hardest grit, especially if you're not one to keep up on like light cleanings after every single gun range or use case. You're really going to want to use a more aggressive brush to get the carbon buildup away from these areas if you see that as a problem. Now when you're doing your first wipe off here, just give it a good look over. Check for any more carbon to be built up anywhere, see any spots that you might have missed. And don't be afraid to put just a little bit more CLP on there and go back for another scrub pass if needed. Sometimes this carbon buildup around that area here on the firing pin can really be quite aggressive. But I'm satisfied with how this one came out. There's a little bit of carbon left there, but we're going to leave it for this purposes. Now, cleaning of the charging handle here, you're just going to want to get mainly in these grooves here, and then in the actual rail down here that it rides on, you're going to want to scrub out in here. This is where most of your carbon buildup is going to be found on this. Moving on to the lubrication, you're going to take your lubricant of choice here. In this case, I'm going to use a CLP. And you're going to lightly apply all over your bolt carrier group, ensuring that you're hitting your gas ports here, your cam pin here, your actual bolt itself, down in here in this track, and then under here on all of these rails. And then you're going to take your clean shop rag and you're just going to dab it off is what I like to do. You can fully wipe it off. I just like to dab it. Now this demonstration shows how disassembly, system understanding, and proper maintenance all work together to ensure reliability and safety. and understanding how gas systems and mechanical components interact is critical for professional gunsmithing. And with that, thank you for watching.